Hello there, everybody, and welcome on in for our next part of our Hidden Lore Alan Wake playthrough. Hope everybody's doing well in this hump day on Wednesday. Hello. So today we are going to be making it all the way to the dam and through the well-lit room. Presumably, we'll make it all the way through. But I wanted to go ahead and do my normal disclaimer for the start of this playthrough. So if people are finding this stream for the first time and they're not familiar with what we're doing here, if you're looking for a standard run-through of the game, this is not the right place for that. I do have a regular run-through on the channel in the stream section as well, but this one is more taking little pit stops all throughout the gameplay to look at the comic books or the Alan Wake files or the survival guide. So we're going to be capturing all the lore that was released at the time of the game. It was released back in 2010, and not just play through the game itself. Anyways, let's go ahead and get this rolling. So I got my stack of notes right here, so we make sure not to miss anything. Oh, and by the way, before we get anything going on here, I do want to make a quick correction from the previous stream. And there's the cat right there already scratching to come in. Her Majesty is feeling a little bit lonely, I suppose. But I do want to make a quick correction. It appears I was very incorrect. My memory pulled a mistake on me. We had a little bit of the Mandela effect. So the layout of where the diner was in relation to the sheriff's department, I was incorrect. It actually is in the same location. For some reason in my headspace, when they went along the right side, they turned right. Apparently they didn't. They turned left. Ignore me. I'm dumb. There are some geographic locations that are changed between the first game and the second game, though, which we can talk about when we get there. But I wanted on the record that, yeah, I'm dumb. I was wrong. Ignore that entire 5-minute rant during the last round. 1 second, guys. Get on in here. And all you're going to be doing is meowing at me and putting your furry patoot in front of the screen. Alright. Let's go ahead and deal with some birds, and then head on in. We can listen to some Poets of the Fall. What is up, Draco? Welcome on in. Get back down here. Yep. And it's mostly because I've been using a lot of free cam in the first Alan Wake game to look around town. So I was trying to get like a full layout of stuff that you see out of bounds. There we go. Alright, let's max out all of our ammo. Because apparently jumping out of a helicopter means we lose all of our flare guns, all of our shotguns, and all of our ammo for some reason. You know, whoever is the guard tower, who operates this guard tower over here, he has a pretty sweet gig. He just has a bunch of long-lasting dairy and some Merlot. I've never tried to use cream with wine, but you know what? That sounds terrible. Alright, let's go grab some thermos and get the thermos lore started early before we head inside. Boom. Alright, let's switch on over. So this one is going to be on page 186. So it's going to be like around here. Nope. Zoe, your booty is literally sitting right in front. I can't... Okay, she's literally sitting right at the perfect space where I can no longer click over. I know you're mad at me. Come here. Ugh. Sit here on my lap while I do this, and I'll give you all the lovings. Alright, so 186. Boom, boom, and boom. There we go. Alrighties. In the end, we took a chopper to get here. The highways are still completely blocked north of town. This was on the concrete barrier in the grassy verge on the right. I got a weird flash when I picked up this thermos. First time it's happened. Everything seemed to stop, like someone switched off one of those old TVs and then back on again. I'll talk to the shrink when I'm back in Seattle. So someone turned off reality for a second and it got flipped back on. That's weird. That's totally weird. Oh, and while we're here, we're going to go ahead and read a little bit of the comic book. Alright. So, in the last time we ran through the comics, we were looking at the Night Springs episode, which featured Barry talking to Frank Breaker. Frank Breaker met with... Now, we don't have this name yet in this... the name for these individuals around town yet, but in the sequel, they refer to them as torchbearers, so we're just going to go along with that story. But anyways, for now, we're going to switch over to the psycho thriller comic. Now, remember, Frank did notify Mulligan and Thornton to go over to the Cauldron Lake Lodge to check up on things there, and that's where we're going to pick up to see what was going on over there. So we're looking at psycho thriller, which picks up with Dr. Hartman after Alan left him for dead. And unfortunately, it didn't work out too well. Anyways, excerpts from Departure by Alan Wake. That Cauldron Lake Lodge still stood after the Dark Presence's assault on it. It was a testament to the skill of the craftsmen who built it. The damage was considerable, of course, but by no means irreparable. The great house remained structurally sound. And yet a sense of violation was palpable in the air. Even the building's owner had survived. He too proved to be hardier than expected, but he was hardly unscathed. Excerpts from Dr. Emil Hartman's notes. Okay, so anything that's written on this regular lined paper is going to be from Hartman's own notepad, while anything written on this aged yellow paper is from Departure specifically. Alright, cat, please don't knock the water over. I see you looking at that glass of water. You want to knock it over. Alright. Wake's bullheaded stupidity exceeded my wildest expectations. Admittedly, I'd made a mistake with him, but I'd never expected him to be so intractable. Well, Alice did try to warn you. Just saying. I had to use the drug on him. I suppose I already knew at that point that it was going to be a gamble. It is hard for me to articulate the full depth of the frustration I felt over losing such a promising subject. I had spent such a long time searching for someone with such affinity for the power that dwelled within the lake. It's ironic, really, that it would be someone like Wake. I admit that I always expected it to be someone whose work was a little more refined. Someone like Tom. Now, here's a little detail that we don't give enough attention to. Remember, during the reality shift in 1970, so the 1970 AWE concluded with a reality shift that supposedly wrote the poet out of existence. Now, no one in the world knows who Tom is, except, as we see here, Cynthia does for sure, but Hartman still remembers him as well. And it's arguable what's going on with the Andersons. The specifics of what's going on with the old gods is another story, but Hartman still remembers him completely. Well, yes, he has a shoebox, but the shoebox would only... anything that's kept in is immune. Okay, Zoe, please. I don't want you stepping on the keyboard and turning off the stream. Thank you. So, let's go off an argument's sake that Hartman's memory was wiped, but he kept the shoebox. Well, then he would have just found a shoebox full of random things and not know what they were. That's not the case with Hartman. We see multiple times, not only in the comic book, but also in the main game, that he has full memories of what happened with his experience with him back in the day. Now, American Nightmare does specify that those who are directly touched by the power, not necessarily directly touched, but those who are directly involved in the powers of the reality shift are immune to it. So the only thing I can figure is that Hartman was directly involved, just like Cynthia was. But the rest of the world kind of went crazy. Anyways, well, it's not just the journals, Ichiro, because, yeah, these are journal entries and notes from Hartman, but also in Departure, he mentions Tom, and also we have the dedication on the sundial outside the back patio of the lodge. Also has the quote from Zane as well as his initials. So it's not just here that we see this evidence, it's all throughout the game. Alright, I would argue that it's only reasonable to expect some. Okay, here, let me make you a bed. Sorry, I gotta move stuff away from the monitor so she can lay down like the princess she is. I would argue that it's only reasonable to expect work of this significance to be sublime and refined, rather than merely crassly popular. Now he's talking smack on Alan's writing style. That Dr. Hartman continued to draw breath could be attributed to a lifelong preparation for a worst-case scenario, and the fact that when the Dark Presence attacked, its focus was not on him. Even so, he had almost died. He spent an entire day unconscious in the ruins of his office. Damn it. So he's really messed up in the head. He's probably got a splitting headache, and he hasn't eaten in a day. He's probably dehydrated. Anyways. No, what did I do? Oh God, just let me go. Help. And here is Nurse Sinclair. being choked out by Mott, who's already taken. Oh, thank God. I found that there's a certain type of person that manages to be both indispensable and completely disposable at the same time. An Alan Wake story. So, I actually never really paid attention to this, but the title here, it says psychotherapy, but then they crossed out the therapy to say thriller. I never noticed that detail. Good to know. Anyways. Mott, Nurse Sinclair, is this some kind of thing I'm paying you for? I believe that description fit Mott better than any other person I've ever met. Okay, I'm not going to try all this. I was like, sure, let's go with that. Ow. I deal with a lot of obsessives in my line of work, although most of them are creative individuals by nature. Dr. Hartman. I've always found Mott fascinating because of his distinct lack of imagination, a trait somewhat common amongst a certain breed of sociopath. I did a good job for you, Doctor. Mott was frequently useful to me. He had a dull intellect, unfettered by troublesome notions of morality. He also had a startling capacity for aggression. Well, that's unprecedented. You're not entirely gone, are you? But I see the experience hasn't improved your intelligence. Of course, Mott tended to be extremely high maintenance and volatile. His belief in innumerable government conspiracies, each more inane and unlikely than the last, made him increasingly unstable. Or hasn't improved your intelligence or disposition. Gotta get the manuscript. There was always the disconcerting possibility that he would turn on me. Yes, well, your efforts on that front were rather pitiful, weren't they? In any case, I think we're past that now. But I had established control over him early on. A product of a troubled childhood, he yearned for a father figure. Better than anyone. He had the self-esteem of a gnat. His life was a constant quest for approval and proof of his manhood. You? I doubt he was aware of how much of a cliché it made him. It's what made me his master. And he immediately, Hartman already knows to use light against him, because most likely he's come across these quite often. You didn't get the manuscript. Wake's writing for himself now. You failed. Sorry. You failed me. Well, nurse, we'd better retreat. I doubt that'll hold him for long. Yes, doctor. So, you don't seem too shocked by, well, I mean, are you going to explain any of this to me, doctor? Why, certainly. The way into the hall has been blocked, I'm afraid, but we'll have to take a little detour. Mott has been taken over by something called the Dark Presence. Usually, when that happens, almost everything that made that person is flushed out. Fascinating. That's just what I was thinking when the crazy ass was about to stab me. In Mott's case, though, it appears that part of him actually survived the process. I suspect that's related to his obsession with me. It's actually quite fascinating. Okay, so, sorry, I read that out of order. You should take one of these lanterns. Mott won't like the light. You know, you're very lucky to be alive, nurse. It's most likely simply because Mott's quite confused. I doubt he's fully aware of his surroundings. He's just about as charming as he ever was. In any case, the state won't last. The Dark Presence is much more powerful than Mott is. I would wager that part of him that looks up to me will be lost soon. Once that happens, I expect he will kill you. So the inference we're getting here is that upon being taken, there is a period of adjustment where the identity of the individual might be a little bit there, but then it slowly goes away completely. And we kind of see something similar to this with the lady in the manuscript who jumped off the cliff at Lover's Peak and considered herself to be saved, and she started a second life when she was taken. And she's like, oh, I'm going to go see an old friend, and then it just trails off. It's possible that the impulses she had about reaping revenge on the guy that cheated on her, was the driving action that became the instinct of that particular Taken, and then she just went off and did what Taken do as soon as her identity was lost completely. Alright. Sorry. You know you love your animals when there's cat hair and literally everywhere. She was nuzzling up against my cup of water and got some of her essence into the damn thing. Peh. I love you, girl, but gross. Anyways, We'll simply have to survive until the sun comes up, of course. I doubt we can make it to the garage across open ground. Somehow this crap didn't come up when I applied for this job. I know a lot of stuff wasn't exactly legal, and I got no problem with getting my hands dirty if need be, but possession? I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I saw him, but this is not what I signed up for. Yes, I can appreciate that, my dear. You have my sincere apologies. Obviously, this isn't what I expected. We can talk about appropriate compensation later. But for now, we're going to have to work together. Agreed? Yeah, I guess you're right. Excellent. Look, there's some light up ahead. That should help detour Mott to an extent. If only we had a weapon. Do you know if we were alone in here? Did Birch make it out? Birch is, he's already been taken. We took him down. No clue. The last thing I remember before coming to a wandering outside is Tor coming at me with a hammer. I'm lucky the crazy old bastard didn't cave my skull in. Tor hit you? I know. I always thought of those two as basically harmless, But they really went apeshit on us. I had no idea they were that strong. They were like berserkers. Well, they kind of are like berserkers, just saying. Interesting. I really thought they were completely burnt out. There's somebody in the dining hall. Cauldron Lake Lodge was intended to be a place where troubled artists could find relief. And of course, some artists were more troubled than others. Hello, Rudolph Lane. Rudolph, how you feeling? Dr. Hartman, they tried to make me leave with them, but I can't stop. I can't stop painting. So I see. And then over the edge of the it's kind of hard to see. It might be the lake. It might be somewhere near the lodge. But you see Barbara Jagger kind of like floating as a shadowy form. Please make it stop. Oh, God. And then we flash over to... These are all images that he is painting. One of this figure looking over the edge. One of the dark presence. This is Mott being tossed around. Or maybe Alan. It might be Alan. Being tossed in the tornado at the end of episode 3. And a bunch of just random things here. I am begging you. I can't take it anymore. Yes. Yes, I see. And he sees an image here of someone wearing Hartman's own cardigan, and Mott's standing over him, attacking him. That's one of the paintings, and Hartman notices that. I'm sorry, I can't stop the pictures. Dr. Hartman had spent most of his adult life studying the strange phenomenon around Cauldron Lake. He considered himself the foremost expert in the field. It's all right, Rudolph. Nurse Sinclair, do you think you can keep Lane a bit company for this moment? Distract him from this compulsion? He was anything but a humble man, but in this regard, at least his high opinion of himself was justified. Of course. Thank you. He had a great deal of experience dealing with these forces, much of it acquired firsthand over the years, often at a considerable human cost, and I guarantee never at his own expense. Here, Rudolph. You look a little cold. Why don't you get out of that ratty old coat and put on my cardigan? Yes, thank you. Dick! Of course, Hartman never gambled with his own life if he could avoid it. He knew full well the dangers certain creative endeavors could unleash. What are you... No time? Oh, shit. Nurse, it's time we left. He made a point to convince others to face them instead. Doctor, you can't be serious. Feel free to stick around if you want to feel free to stick around if you want to see Sirius. Making difficult decisions had never been a problem for him. Yes, this is much nicer. Thank you so much for... Dr. Hartman? Shatter, shatter, shatter. They fluoridate the water to turn us into sheep. And of course, Mott sees the cardigan and thinks that's Hartman and begins to attack him. Hartman knew this. Help! No. Well, the thing is, Marama, when it comes to the chicken or the egg situation, is Rudolph isn't creating reality here. He's not painting it, and that filters into the lake, causing it to happen. No, he's more predicting it. He sees that it's going to happen already, and then just documents it. It's more like prophecy than it is creation. credit cards have chips that can hear what we say. And then stab. The government men try to count us. And there's the painting right there. Hartman? No, not Hartman. Now, we know in case anyone is worried, we do know Rudolph survived this. But we'll get more to that a little bit later. Can't believe you did that, you unbelievable asshole. I agree this is the perfect time to assert your moral superiority, nurse. With a bit of luck, we might make it to the garage while Mott's distracted. Dr. Hartman. Blast. Move! Ah, damn it. He'll get through any damn second now. Yes, thank you, nurse. I hate this job. I hate you. Shut up and push, woman. Hartman. Where'd he go? Was that a police siren? And we're gonna pause there and get back to the game. And we'll pick up here later. Little cliffhanger. And we'll continue reading, and Alan apparently is hopping out of excitement. Alright, let's get back into the game. Let's see if there's anything we can loot out here before we head inside. Actually, we can get maximum infinite rifle ammo, or pistol ammo. Whoopsie! Hello there. Where, and where? Boom, boom, boom. Please don't run at me. That is very rude, sir. Okay, whoop. I'm just gonna keep running around in circles and use the environment as geometry to my advantage. Get over here. Come on, get over here. Stop it. Move! I want to hit the explodey thingy. You guys are dicks. I'm trying to kite them over to this explodey thingy. Got it. Boom! 2 down. Nope. It's called geometry, and I win at it. Do. Freeze and... Yeah, we all know what happens to Hartman, and he definitely does deserve worse. Because the sad thing about what happened to him is as soon as he was taken, it depends on if we have his consciousness remain versus his body just being taken over, and then that's it, and his consciousness flicks out and his suffering ends. Really depends. Do. Ching ching shotgun. So let's max out all those, get our flares. And it's time to listen to some poets.
And here's a new song from a band that they always remind me of our local rock legends, the Old Gods. I couldn't tell you why. I guess it's just, one of those things. Anyway, here's Poets of the Fall and their latest single, War.
That did not work as well as I had hoped. Chances flowing by. I can't explain what happened to Rudolph, but that's kind of getting into Alan Wake 2 DLC territory, and I don't know if you want to experience it yourself, LaRouche, but lo and behold, 13 years of peace, and then shenanigans happens. stop. Wait, where is it? There, it's not there. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna try to see if I can find another one of those explodey boys. There it is! There's an explodey boy. Ow. Oh, I got one. My innocence is torn. Oh, there's another one. Okay, let's reload. Hey, dude! Bro. Oh, what happened to you? You want a reminder? Gotcha. So, long story short, the FBC created a lake house facility here in Cauldron Lake, abducted Lane, and tried to force him to create art that benefited them. And it ultimately led with the final painting where Rudolph Lane slit his wrists and made a self-portrait of himself on the wall with his own blood. And then created a dark entity, which was his lingering rage and hatred out of that painting. Like, it's dark as all hell. Alrighties, there we got some coffee thermoses. You should watch the video to this song. Yeah, no, because the music video for this does have Ilkavili in there, and it's him just wandering around town, picking up a manuscript by a river, thinking of Alice. We see a lot of scenes with Alice in it, and him protecting her and stuff of that nature. Anyways, let's switch on over for some Thermos lore. The only reason I don't is probably because of copyright issues. I'm probably going to get a copyright claim just for listening to that song right there. We got to the warehouse, and it looked like a mini tornado came through the place. Surprised to find the thermos sitting on a stack of concrete pipes near the exit. The rest of the place was wrecked. I told Torrance and Zoe. You were sleeping so good, and then you sat up right in the middle of that, and now I can't see. I told Torrance about the weird flash. He seemed concerned, asked if I'd had any other head-related trauma. Not since my football days. Hey, so Thermos guy used to play football. Not that that really matters about anything, but is what it is. Yeah, boo, copyright. I mean, honestly, it's perfectly fine because it's a claim, not a strike, but regardless, I don't mess around with it more than I have to. Okay, let's see if there's any more loot in here before we head outside. But yeah, the entire song about war is essentially a tune about how Alice is the reason that Alan keeps fighting this war. And the arms race. Okay. Let's head on in. Is this Thermos guy the FBC found the Odir Diamond Thermos? No. So it is confirmed in the Thermos lore tailgate that he is FBI, not FBC.
The power plant glowed in the night. It was close.
Come on.
But I had to find a way across.
That is officially stated. And they also make references to Nightingale and other things like that as being part of... At least they're aware of his activities because he works with them. And then Torrance, Cooper, and the dwarf are all FBI. But then again, we don't know if the dwarf is FBI, but they defer to the dwarf's perspective on things. Twin Peaks references. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Let's reload our shotgun, and then we will go ahead and take a look at some of that lore there. Alright, so the next one is going to be the hidden cache lore, which is on the very next page. Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains to bring it to light. George Washington. The chest is behind the spool at the entrance to the transformer yard. I thought you might enjoy a quote from the man this state is named after. Okay, let's head on in. Hard hat era, yeah. We don't have a hard hat, so Alan, you're not allowed to go in here. Game over, guys. Game over. We can't access. There's a warning sign. We're not allowed to access it. Fuck the rules. And this is the part of the story where the Koskela brother says, fuck the government. We have bolt cutters. I did, Triple Laser, I did download Guilt, but I did not play it. Yet. Cat, you're literally covering half the screen here. I'm gonna, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna take a picture of what my screen looks like and I'll put it up in Discord. So everyone can see what I deal with every time we stream. Alright, he went up. So whenever I'm playing, I'm literally trying to, I only can see half the screen. On Nightmare difficulty too, which makes this even more fun. Yes, Ichiro, there's a Discord. I can get a link for it real quick. 1 second. Boom. Invite to server. Copy. Edit link. Generate new link. Copy. And paste. There you go. Ow. Stop it. Boom. Easy peasy. I am not wasting ammo unnecessarily. Whoa! That's a bad one. Nope! 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 I just wasted ammo. That's fine. But again, I literally cannot see Alan on my screen right now. I can see the top of his hair. That's about it. Come on. Come on, come through the gate, buddy. And I cannot see the Taken at all. Cat, please. Please. I swear, you were an agent of the Dark Presence set to end Alan's adventure. See, if Alan was a little more skilled with the revolver, because I know he's a quick loader, but if he actually had a quick loader, then this might go a little bit easier. I've practiced with quick loaders on a revolver, and I suck at them. I'm faster about just filling it out manually.
Making her way through the water pipe alone, Cynthia was angry at the writer. Foolish young man, taking unnecessary risks. And the way he broke the rules. Didn't he understand what was at stake? Since the terrible days in the 70s, she hadn't wavered once, as hard as it had been. She was tired of protecting the town all these long years, and now only wanted to rest.
Cynthia is the GOAT of this game. She is the MVP, let's be 100% real. 40 years of this insanity. 40 years. Alan went through it for 2 weeks, and only one of those weeks he was conscious. Yeah, I honestly feel that what they did to Cynthia in Alan Wake 2 was Mr. Scratch literally just being a vindictive, evil asshole. It's like he systematically went to anybody that aided Alan throughout departure and just went out of his way to fuck with them. That's honestly what it felt like. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is do this. Hi there. You're gone. Your turn. I mean, technically what I can do is pop that. We're gonna look at that later. Let me just make a quick run for it. Ah, okay, never mind. I thought I was gonna be able to make it all the way up here early, but I guess not. Oh, Jesus. Okay, normally I run past him and get up there before this guy gets a chance to get to me, but good stuff. Cat. I don't trust you to not knock over the water. But yeah, if you guys remember my reaction when I finished up that stream when the Cynthia scene happened. Oh god, I'm so glad I ended the stream right then. Like, this is just me being 100% honest. As soon as I hit stop and the recording ended, I broke down. Like, I was sobbing. Like, it was not even... I completely lost it at that point. As soon as the stream ended. Okay. So before we pick up the manuscript, let's go ahead and do our thermos lore. Okay, yes, you can sleep there, and now she's sleeping with her head against the Twin Peaks Blu-ray again. Good job, Cap. So it's going to be page 188. Here, I'm going to get a picture of this one, too, just for the fun of it. Alright. There we go. We were fortunate enough that this place was shut down before we investigated. There's enough electricity running through here to light up half of Portland. Mad old Weaver was responsible for it. Can't believe they let her keep the plant running. Can't believe I'm still collecting plastic thermoses. But there you go. And of course we have the red chair, which may be the dwarf's favorite seat. Which makes me wonder if something has been setting these chairs up specifically to have a good vantage point to overlook events throughout the story in the background. And I say stuff like that not because this is evidence in and of itself, but there is stuff in the survival guide that, no joke, does imply there were entities other than the Dark Presence and other than the guy who runs the auto scrapyard that were running around in the background that we never noticed. I want to say there's 2 entities out there that we completely missed, and it's only in the survival guide that we notice it. But we'll get there when we get there.
The story I had written in the cabin had come true. Touched by the Dark Presence, I had written a horror story, but the end was still missing. The story was incomplete, and the last unfinished page of the manuscript still sat in the typewriter in the cabin study. If I could get back there, if I could read the page, then I could write my own ending to this story and save Alice.
If we can get back there. Yep, that's really going to be about it. Boom, 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 boom. Alright. Let me check both of these off. And get on running. Come on. Gravity, do your thing. Do your thing, Gravity. The OSB board is not... Come on. Come on. There we go. Thank you, Gravity. Sorry, that's just me being a construction nerd. So we got OSB versus CDX plywood. And we were just walking on some OSB. It's like a pantheon of gods in the dark place, right? Well, the thing is, yes, that is officially stated in American Nightmare, but also we can't confirm that every single one of these entities is from the dark place. I mean, it's easy to say it is, but there's no concrete confirmation that the only type of Eldritch entity only originates from there. Alright, this is Lieutenant William T.G. Randall Memorial Bridge. This bridge has been designated as a memorial in honor and recognition of Lieutenant William T.G. Randall, 1919 to 1981, a World War II POW and recipient of the Distinguished Service Cross. He died of injuries received during his successful rescue of 2 children from a burning car crashed at this location.
I couldn't get across until I found a way to turn the bridge.
Now, there's nothing that this really connects to. I wouldn't really say this is anything weird going on other than just a freak accident, but it's really more here to reestablish that this whole area is run by the military at one point. Because let's be real, you have a military veteran here. Oh, actually, it doesn't say does it say veteran? No, it doesn't say veteran, so he may have been active
The
duty
rotating bridge
back
was
in the
open.
80s.
I had to find a way to close it.
Alright, so before we continue on, we do have to switch over to the Alan Wake files real quick. Okay, so we're going to go over to an article in the Bright Falls Record. Let's go take a look. Okay, Bright Falls Record. Let's see if I can find this. And it's not going to show that. So there's an article that Cynthia wrote in the Bright Falls Record. I need to find it. Would you consider Night Springs an entity from the Dark Place? No. I would consider it a place of power for sure, but it's one that moves around. But then again, we did have one Night Springs episode where they implied that there is an entity who bears the name Night Springs that travels around, writes his name onto a town, and then boom, that the town overtakes that region for the purpose of the story. And if we take that as accurate, then possibly? Possibly? Okay, Bright Falls Record. Where is this? Crime author. There we go. This is what we're looking for right here. Okay. So this was also written by Cynthia Weaver, special to the Bright Falls Record, on July 20th of 1970. So this was within, I want to say, 2.5 weeks after the events of the 1970 AWE, as well as the reality shift that occurred there. To answer your question, Holloman, the Night Springs episodes are real. They don't, at least we don't see evidence that they take place in the prime reality, in the universe we're playing the game in, but they do exist in their own pocket dimension, and the events of them echo out into reality, so they have... It's kind of like the person who's writing the episode sees things through the Dark Place and witnesses events in other parts of the world, and then adapts it into an episode. But that episode also exists as a pocket universe, so it's happening twice. One in the real form, and one in the slightly altered, adapted form that's consolidated in Night Springs. And one could argue that chicken or the egg, who created who. But, besides the point. Alright, on the morning of July 18, a severe volcano-related earthquake caused significant damage to the power plant run by Bright Falls Light and Power, as well as many homes in the area. Seismic monitoring equipment at the U.S. Army Research Base nearly measured the quake at 7.3 on the Richter scale. Sorry. The epicenter is believed to be directly beneath Cauldron Lake. Okay, I take it back. So this is 2 days after the event. The epicenter is believed to be directly below Cauldron Lake. The most spectacular consequences of the quake is that Diver's Isle, which once sat in the middle of the lake, has now been completely submerged. One of the deepest caldera lakes in the Cascade Mountains, Cauldron Lake is no stranger to seismic activity. This quake, however, is believed to be the most severe in the area in the 20th century. While some of the area homes were damaged, a few were considered catastrophic, and there were no injuries. Sten Fairk, a structural engineer and resident of Bright Falls, explained that most of the houses are made from logs or they're otherwise wood framed. That gives a certain flexibility that you don't get in more rigid structures. Brick houses might keep that big bad wolf out, but they're not so good in an earthquake. Those blank just crumbled like blank House of Cards. And that is accurate. I actually, when I used to do work for... I used to manage crews in 5 or 6 different East Coast states where they have a lot more basements. Because over here, where I'm at in the West Coast, we don't really have a lot of basements unless you're up in the mountains. But over there, we had a lot of them, and they're all cinder block foundations. And I cannot tell you how many times just soil shifting caused those foundations to crack, and they started flooding. Just groundwater started flooding. It was a nightmare to keep the sump pumps running. But anyways, sorry. Little sidetrack. The town of Bright Falls was without power for approximately 24 hours. Several of the turbines at the power plant remained damaged, but 3 of them are now operational. We've got enough hydropower for the immediate area, says C.J. Chapman, a spokesman for the Bright Falls Lights and Power. We're just not exporting any outside our area, and that's a big source of income. So we have an economic impact as well. So it's not just the fact that the earthquake knocked out Diver's Isle and contributed to Zane's vanishing, but also it harmed Bright Falls' economy, which kind of sucks. But again, give and take. We'll all be glad when the structure checks out and we can get all the turbines up and running. To be perfectly frank, we're bleeding money here. The scene at Cauldron Lake has drawn a significant crowd of local bystanders. It's so strange, Diver's Isle being just gone like that, said Carol Troop. And again, Carol Troop makes another appearance. She seems to be the permanent crisis actor. She's always on site when things go weird. But maybe that's her role in the story, who knows. I used to swim there as a kid. We all did. We'd sunbathe on the rocks and then dive off at the edges. It was so deep, even right next to the island, so it was safe to go in head first. And there was a cabin in the middle, though I don't think it belonged to anyone. I never remember going in it. Funny, because you'd think we would. Carl Stuckey, a local high school student, described his shock at seeing the island gone. It's weird to see these people have gone... It's weird to see all of these people around the lake, talking and pointing at the empty water. I guess if you weren't from around here, you'd wonder what we were all pointing at. Diver's Isle lives on in our memories, and somewhere under the waters, of course. No photographs of the island could be located for this story. Some citizens have expressed concern because of the volcanic aspect of the quake, but local officials have been quick to reassure the populace there won't be any rivers of lava heading your way, said Sheriff Stephen Deming. We've checked with the Army Seismic Station and science guys at the University of Washington, and they've assured us that the eruption was not that kind. Sometimes volcanic structures just collapse on themselves. The red-hot stuff is pretty dramatic, but often most of the action is underground. The town remains on alert for the aftershocks. However, which are common after a quake of this magnitude, but in general life goes on as normal. We have quakes here all the time, said Stuckey. This one was just different because of the islands, and it was a little bigger. It's not like anyone died, commented Troop. I just have some broken dishes and some of the food spoiled when the fridge warmed up. That's about it. Okay, let me just type this in real quick. I just want to add a quick new stream notes. I'm pretty sure it's already in my notes, but just in case I forget, I want to add the original sheriff's name from back in 1970. 1970, Sheriff Stephen Deming. And I have to look up that surname in case it's a reference to something else in literature. Now, the weird thing here is they make the comment that there were no photos of the island that could be located for the story, except we know there are photos of the island that specifically Cynthia was in possession of. Remember, Cynthia wrote this article. So either A, she's lying, or she attained those photos after the fact, maybe through a shoebox of some kind. But either way, there's a discrepancy there. Isn't the cabin in the renting ad? No. There's a cabin over by Cape Campbell, where it's the huntsman's cabin near the lighthouse. That is in the rental thing, advertisement. But anyways, let's get back in. Just more questions? Alright, so I have the note here. Yeah, photos of the Diver's Island were found in 1960s, and they happened to be found in Nightingale's effects when he was at the Majestic Hotel, as well as inside Bird's Lake.
There had to be controls nearby to turn the bridge.
And there's photos of inside Bird's Lake cabin. For some reason, she did not put them in the newspaper article. Some photos show black stains on the printout. Actually, we can look at those real quick. Let's take a look real fast. Because these photos were literally included in Nightingale's stuff right here. And you'll see photos of the cabin with dark shadows, and there's more dark shadows here under the water. See if we can zoom in a little bit to make it a little bit easier to recognize. And I think somewhere... So the source of this photograph is unknown, but is rare enough that the local newspaper could not locate one even as it documented the island's disappearance of the earthquake in 1970. So yeah, so these were later uncovered, and Nightingale had access to them. Alright. We're officially back. Now, one comment I do want to say here is even though there is zero evidence that there's any connection here, Doc Nelson did make the comment that 3 decades back he had experience witnessing symptoms of someone who's been touched by the dark presence. Because when he was examining Rose, he mentioned he had seen this kind of thing before, and he gave a rough timeline to the beginning of the 80s. Now, this event occurred in 1981, and it's the only thing on the timeline that is in this stretch of history. Now, there's zero evidence that there was anything to do with Taken or Dark Presence or anything like that in the 80s. At least we're unaware of that, or if this is in any way related to it. But I just want that noted in case something in the future makes me question that. Now, I did see someone make the comment that this car crash here impacting the school bus may be an echo of what happened to these kids that were caught in a car fire, and then Lieutenant Randall rescued them. So we've got a school bus here, car crash, it's on fire. Possibly. Definitely a possibility. I will write that down to ponder on later. Noir York City? No crap. Okay. So Lieutenant Randall saving kids from fire. Echoes the school bus car crash and fire. And I'll come back to that later just in case it's something I want to mention when I write the script. It's literally the only car on fire in the whole game. Weirdly enough, there is a bus or a trailer that's on fire in American Nightmare right behind the roadside diner. Or not the roadside diner, sorry, the rest stop. And I can't figure out why it's there. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I need to pick up the manuscript. And this is just going to be the Nightmare difficulty lyrics for Children of the Elder God.
Children of the Elder God lyrics by Old Gods of Asgard. The first verse and chorus. Warriors, torchbearers, come redeem our dreams. Shine a light upon this night of otherworldly fiends. Odin's might be your guide. Divorce you from the sane. Hammer's way will have its say. Rise up in their name. O memory and thought, jet black and clawed. Children of the Elder God, scourge of light upon the dark.
Did he say scourge? Not scourge? Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, who knows? I always said scourge, not scourge. But regardless. I mean, Matthew's Broadway, so who knows? Alright, so we have two separate things here. This is being addressed to both warriors, separation, torchbearers. Now, this can be referring to the exact same thing, but based upon information we have later, I believe that warriors and torchbearers refer to two separate groups that are being called to redeem the dreams of the old gods. Basically, back in 1976 and 1978, when they sunk the Dark Presence down, they will be redeemed through the efforts of the warriors, Alan, and torchbearers, which we just saw the torchbearers. They're everyone that Frank Breaker is using. So a lot of local law enforcement, Pat Main, and some other individuals we're unaware of. And this was all literally just a giant prediction of what's going on. Memory and Thought, that's the two ravens. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and continue onwards. And we got some more Thermos and some more Night Springs coming up. So it's an alternate pronunciation in the dictionary break? Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Wouldn't it be neat if Odin got his ravens back? No joke, my hypothesis about Odin's ravens being stolen by the Scratching Hag is since they're Memory and Thought, Hugin and Munin, I think his in-universe dementia is caused because his memory and thought his ravens were stolen. I think that was literally the cause of his dementia. Or at least Odin when he's off script. Because when he's on script, he behaves more godly. But off script, you can see it take its effect. I mean, it just makes perfect sense and is very poetic, if that's the case. And Thor also said that she stole his thunder, and that led to him being physically weakened. Because that's just an expression like, hey, you took my thunder. Yeah, I'm weaker now. Is his ravens in the dark place? I presume the ravens are the ones that we witness attacking us all throughout the whole thing. Possibly, or the 2 ravens that are in the writer's room. That's also a possibility. Okay, let's get some more thermos lore. Okay, not that one. Oh, stop skipping on me. Okay, here, this one right here. It took a hammer in the console to bring the bridge to a stop. Perhaps we can actually get to the power plant now. I actually tripped over this one, sitting on the grass by the control booth, and almost ended up in the river. Felt dizzy, lost my footings. Called Cooper up, and he told me it wouldn't be long before I was replaced. He seemed sad, a bit emotional, that guy. What do you mean we're going to be replaced, Cooper? And he was sad about it. Yeah, things are not looking good. There's a lot of bad foreshadowing, sorry. Semantically speaking, can floors cast shadows?
More birds.
I mean, if there's a little bit of lippage in the tile, or the floor planks maybe. But if you install it right, unless you're using like a natural stone or a travertine, then you shouldn't really have any lippage if you're installing properly. And if anyone's curious, lippage is when one tile is raised slightly higher than the one next to it. So there's kind of like a little gap there. Well, the subfloor would cast shadows over the crawl space break.
We managed to lose the flock. You're almost at the power plant. Keep going. We'll give you support.
Learn me some floor lore. Yep, floor lore. Okay, we got some more coffee thermos. Let's see if Cooper decides to clarify a few things. Cooper texted me again today, just after we'd taken a fine-tooth comb over the other control booth, and found another thermos on the sofa in there. He wrote, "For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home lies a deeper, darker ocean green." Similar rhyme to the one he sent a while ago. Still no clue what he means. He said the dwarf was insistent that he tell me. Well, this message is coming from the dwarf. I would have to say that if the dwarf that the FBI is referring to and taking direction from has this kind of knowledge, yes, Darkano, it is definitely Black Lodge shenanigans. Black Lodge shenanigans for sure. And I'll just say that I haven't, well, I don't remember any of Twin Peaks. I watched the first season years and years and years ago, maybe like 15 years back, and I don't remember a damn thing from it. And I recently watched like the first 2 episodes again, and I don't recall what the dwarf, like what his whole deal is. I think it's called The Arm is the official title. but no idea. Let's get back in the game. Alright guys, you ready to watch some TV? Our shows are on. And this is a fun little episode.
Are we men dreaming of being butterflies, or butterflies that dream of being men? Such philosophical concerns are by necessity abstract. And yet, some of us can find concrete proof of the nature of our existence. In Night Springs. Tonight's episode, an absence of creativity.
Yeah, me either, Yusuro. It's kind of annoying. Actually, let me see if I can turn down the audio on the effects. Maybe it's tied to the effects audio.
Hello, Martha. What did you want to show me?
Oh, Lydia, thank God you're here. Please,
Good
it's
enough.
in the basement.
So the music in the episode's gone, but at least we have the dialogue. Good enough. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Audio, let's turn it up a little bit just so we have something.
Oh, Martha. Oh, that's amazing.
Isn't it just? I found it here this morning.
It's like it isn't there, but oh, I can't look straight at it.
Yes. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, how did you get here?
Well, I'm trying to work.
Did you put this thing here?
In a way. To be more precise, I put everything here but that.
Really? But what is it?
Oh, I guess the temptation is to call it a hole, but it's really an absence, a profound lack of reality.
In Martha's basement?
Yes, I was doing so well, too. I came up with 2 old ladies and put something really weird in the basement. It was a great start, but I'm completely blocked now. I can't imagine what I was up to.
Well, surely it's just an ordinary basement.
Is it? Why did you call your friend here, then?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, well.
Couldn't you just ignore it?
Oh, no, I couldn't do that. It would probably turn into a plot hole. Might be one already. Could sink the whole enterprise.
Oh my.
Listen, ladies, not to be rude, but I'm really not at all sure where I'm going with this, and you're just not helping. You should just go back upstairs for a cup of coffee while I try to figure out what I'm up to.
Well, if you think that's best.
Maybe I should just stop here. Or is that too moronic?
Is that too moronic? Indeed. Who can tell? It's a fine line between the stupid and the sublime. In Night Springs.
And for reasons like that, which is why I adore absurdism literature. Because it's just such an, like, absurdism is as it sounds. It's just ridiculous, but at the same time, it's getting a really nice point across. So, I haven't verified this information, but recently I came across a little assertion that the entire idea and the phrasing of plot holes originated from when we recovered ancient manuscripts, and literally parts of the page itself were eaten away, so we couldn't read the whole thing. There was literally holes in the page, so we kind of just translated what we could and then ignored the hole in the page, and not much we can do about it. Plot hole. Now, I haven't verified if that's true or if that's just someone making up history. Either way, interesting. Okay, let's get going. For the first time, my voice is the same as the game. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a late myth too. So let me see. Let me know if my voice is a little bit better now. I did do a little bit of adjusting. Ichiro reminds you should look into the never-ending story in the book, not the movies. Trust me, I adore Neverending Story. I read it probably 30 times as a kid. I reference it all the time. It is amazing. And I apologize if it's been bad the entire, if the audio mastering has been bad the entire time, I do apologize. My microphone will randomly change its settings without me having to do anything, where sometimes it's more sensitive and sometimes it's less sensitive. It's mainly the Ravens and the Choppers because they're loud. Alright, well if that's the case, let me know if my voice gets too loud, and then I can backtrack and make a few adjustments. Or what I could probably do is just turn down the effects audio, and that'll take care of that. Yeah, call me out if you hear any, if the audio needs to be adjusted in any way. I'd rather it sound perfect for you guys than me getting through the whole stream being kind of weirdo and wonky. Yeah, let me just do that right now. Give me a second. Just a little bit. Oh, jeez. That's me not paying attention. Can't see. Okay, we're good. God, these guys are bullet sponges. But then again, this is nightmare difficulty, so it is what it is. Oh, come on.
We can't stay here. Get inside. Call us when you know what the plan is.
Alright, stay safe, Sarah. Ah, get away from me, you birdie birds. Okay, they're gone. Okay, now that it's a little bit quieter, I'm going to go ahead and change the setting 1 second. Alright. Audio, bump you up a little bit. Alright. So let me know as long as this sounds good, I'll keep it here. And we have plenty of flare guns. I love it. Alright, let's go take a look at some hidden cache lore. God says to an angel, "It is done. 24 hours of light, then darkness has been created." The angel asked, "What do you intend to do now?" God replies, "I'll call it a day." Don't scare the Taken with your laughter, and find this cache by the base of the power plant near the water's edge. Nice joke, Cynthia. She has a sense of humor, it's fine. We never see that from her. And let's keep on with the shotgun for now, because we're literally down to next to nothing. Oh, wait, nope, we just picked up some ammo. We're good. Yeah, no, I think the Ichiro, I think the pump action does do less damage, but that's also to offset the fact that you have what 8 rounds versus 2 rounds with the other one. So just for balancing problems, you kind of have to make do. Oh, lordy lord. Okay, stay. Alright, I think we're good.
I recognized the logo on the power plant sign. I'd seen a version of it painted all over the area, signifying hidden caches of supplies.
Alrighties, and here we go. More thermos lore. Okay. Another one. By the security hut over in the corner to the left of that large green sign, looked down at my hands today. Saw them begin to sparkle, like those vampires do in the movie my wife keeps watching. Yeah, we had to have a Twilight reference. Yep. I could see the ground through them. I came over all faint and had to sit down. Stress and cataloging these damn objects, Torrance reckons, although he didn't sound too convincing. Can I grab it? Can I grab it? Please, let me grab it. Actually, I think I have to go somewhere else before I can grab this. I think it's after Cynthia lets us through here, and then we walk all the way around, and then we can pick up that manuscript. Safe haven, safe haven. Oh,
Hold it
I'll read
right
it later.
there.
Miss Weaver, Cynthia, I'm a friend.
Prove it.
You knew Zane, Thomas Zane. You're the Lady of the Light in the song. You can help me.
About time. Young man, I've been waiting a very long time for you. It's in the well-lit room.
Excuse me?
What you'll need to drive the darkness back. The well-lit room is at the dam. I built the room to keep it safe.
Will it help me find Alice? Will it get me back to the cabin? Fine, let's go. I can get my friends to come back with the helicopter.
Oh, we won't go outside. Never at night. That's rule number 1. You've been breaking the rules, young man, and where has that gotten us, No, I have a secret route, a lit route, an old water pipe. Something was damaged at the transformer yard. It's draining all the reserve power. Without it, the pipe will go dark. The power to the yard must be cut.
Let me guess. You want me to do it?
Young man, you're the one who likes to break the rules. I can't be outside in the dark. The kill switch is outside.
Okay, Cynthia, we'll take care of it. Alright, this may just be me, but her voice and how she got kind of stuff when she is getting all snippy with us, it reminds me of the character in Labyrinth. The
Hurry!
lady
The
that
switch
is
on the wall
yelling
facing the shore.
at the main character and trying to like put all of her toys onto her back. You know, the junk dealer character, that puppet.
I cannot
Her
take
voice just
you
sounds
to
so
well-lit
similar to
room
that.
if the lights in the pipe go out. You must go outside to use the emergency switch. I have been preparing for these times, the dark tides. You have found my caches, haven't you? You can see the signs. Very few people can.
The only character you know is David Bowie's tights.
What you need. This is all for you, for the likes of us. We do Tom's work, don't we? Dark
We do Tom's work, don't we? Mm-hmm.
light. Tom.
She's still going on about it. Darkness waits in my dreams. I miss you, Tom. Did I accidentally pick it up? Oh, there it is. I'm like, I know there's a thermos in here. I'm just like, where the crap are you? Boom. Okay. Thermos lore. Nothing there, nothing there. Let's head back over. There we go. You need sunglasses to enter the place. We've been here for 3 hours and still can't find a way to shut off all the lights. Found this thermos tucked away near the low bookcase. I took it easy. That sparkling hallucination has me worried. I'll check the web for symptoms when I can get a damn cell phone signal in this backwater. Thermos by the coffee machine. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. Makes 100% perfect sense to me. Alright, so before we leave this area, we do have some reading to do. So let's do a quick pause and swap over to the survival guide. Alright, this is on page 193. Right there. So apparently, Cynthia has an entire checklist and a labeling system for all of her bulbs. So each of these numbers, remember how she keeps labeling, saying, oh, 3, 16, and 127 is this, blah, blah, blah. She mentions that later. So 4 is functioning normally, 5 is brand new, 2 is faulty wiring and needs to be replaced soon, 1's bulb is almost out and must replace immediately, and she literally goes through and labels every single light bulb in the place. Comments, the chosen one is coming. Not long now. Not long. Spent too long positioning the work lights. But it'll be over soon. And this is literally hundreds of light bulbs that she tracks in this matter, which kinda sucks. Okay. Let me see. There's something here. Okay, so it's somewhere in this giant text here, but it specifies that after 1970, so after the events of the AWE there, Cynthia began to experience a series of losses. Now, specifically what those losses were, who knows, but I do know at this point in time they were renovating her grandfather's old manor, which we traveled through in episode 3, but the funding dried up and they were unable to renovate it, and that was in the early 70s. So likely one of the losses had to do with the reason why they lost funding for the renovation of that place. Yeah, she checks on the lights of the diner, too. So I don't know if she has this tracking system for every light bulb in the town, or just in this area, but honestly, it would not surprise me if she had it for everywhere. It would not surprise me the slightest. Alright, so in the survival guide, this is another detail that David Hodgson, who is the author who formerly resided in Watery, mentions, is that he directs people who read the guide to stay away from the power plant, and basically leave Cynthia alone. We don't have to disturb her. And while we're here, it's time to switch back over again for some more comic books. Psycho thriller. Let's go ahead and read a little bit more. Okay, so just to, again, preface, Frank Breaker sent Thornton and Mulligan over to the lodge, and boom, that's a police siren. And boom, Thornton and Mulligan show up just in time to rescue this sorry bastard's ass. Alright. Wow, cops, that makes me happy. That's a first. Dr. Hartman, is that you? Sure looks like him. Hey, that you, Dr. Hartman, sir? Idiot. I just asked him that, Thornton. Deputy Mulligan, Deputy Thornton, your timing is impeccable. I'm afraid we have a bit of a problem. Huh, that used to be such a nice place. You're not looking too hot there either, Doc. Say, there was something at the door when we arrived. Took off fast. Yeah, it was fast. Yes, actually, I'm going to need your help with that. A somewhat dangerous individual. Are you serious? Let's just get in the car and get the hell out of here. That would be irresponsible, and I'd rather deal with this now rather than keep worrying about it indefinitely. Besides, he's already killed one of my patients. That was... You didn't have to... I hope you realize I quit, you son of a bitch. Yes, yes, wonderful. Now, deputies. I believe I can lure the threat out. All I need is a little bit of cooperation from you. Oh, absolutely, sir. Shut up, Thornton. I'm afraid Mott's quite obsessed. I doubt he'll be able to resist a clear shot at me. I'm fairly certain I can buy a few seconds, but talking to him, I trust you know what to do if I gave him you boys. If I gave you boys one at him. Wait, what? I trust you know what to do if I gave you boys one at him. There's a word missing there. Anyways. So it's basically understood that these events are happening in tangent to what's happening with Alan. So these are happening literally at the same time, which is why we're reading them throughout this night. Well, it seems kind of risky. It's risky as hell. Yeah, they're dangerous. We had to fight a bunch of them just to get here. Again, Thornton and Mulligan were killing a bunch of Taken on the way. Nice. Yeah, I'd say I agree. If I give you boys a shot at him would make more sense than one at him, but... Anyways, these things aren't exactly great conversationalists. I mean, they make Thornton here seem sophisticated. Oh, come on, Mulligan. Let me worry about that. You just take position and hold your fire until I give the signal, all right? If you'll just let me borrow one of these... He grabs a flare from his waistband. Just stay out of sight and wait for my signal, please. And there he is standing on the sundial that has the dedication to Zane. Mott! Hartman. Nobody's better. Stop. You've done well, Mott. Good job. Good job? Yes, I'm very proud of you. Do you understand? Nobody else could have done what you've done for me. Proud? Yes, Mott, proud. Now, if you'll just do one more thing for me, I'll be very pleased with you. Will you do that for me? Will you do that? Mott, I want you to kneel for me. Yes, Doctor. Deputies? Blam, blam, blam. Krakow. Twee? Wait, twee? Really? Oh, thwee. Sure, let's just go with that. As the sound effect. And dead. That's where we're going to end this off and continue more on with the comic book as things go on. Let's go ahead and head out. The writers are all fluent in English. It would make sense with the original script that they had to translate and never release. I mean, I don't know if this was ever written in Finnish, though. I think it was originally written in English. So I don't think it's a localization translation error. I think it's just they were referring to a thing in the previous sentence, and then they refer to that thing as one rather than just saying it again. But it just made it a little bit confusing, because I'm not very literate, apparently. Warning, this decommissioned site is private property. The power plant is no longer in operation. Trespassers will be prosecuted. So I presume, based upon the context we received earlier, that they never really repaired, they never fixed the power plant. And so exports out of energy out of Bright Falls kind of ceased, but they still were producing enough power to power the town, but not enough to export. So that would just imply, hey, a lot of the economy started faltering after 1970. Which is unfortunate. Let's just keep that open to save us time later. And we have 8 rounds of you. Cut it out. Don't worry, Marama. I know exactly where I'm going for all this.
The Poet and the Muse, lyrics by Old Gods of Asgard, the chorus. And now to see your love set free, you will need the witch's cabin key. Find the Lady of the Light, gone mad with the night. Find the Lady of the Light, still raving in the night. That's how you reshape destiny.
I can't hear those words without just hearing the tune in my head, to be 100% honest. But, anyways. So I don't know
Weaver
about
had
the...
sent me to cut the power to the transformer yard. I was willing to do grunt work for her to get her to help me. I hoped Weaver was dependable. I'd stumbled into this crazy world a little over a week ago. She had been living this insanity for decades.
So, my personal opinion on the damage difference between the double barrel and the pump action is it also has a scattershot issue where the pump action does more damage the closer you are to the enemy. And that also helps to compensate for it. While as the double barrel can fire from a distance and still deal the same amount of damage. Almost like one's birdshot and one's a slug, but who knows.
I could see the kill switch that would cut the power to the transformer yard. Now I had to find a way to reach it.
Floodgate controls to be operated by authorized personnel only. Sorry guys, we're not authorized to touch this stuff, so we gotta leave. Game over.
If I could figure out the gates, I could use them to get to the kill switch.
1, 2, 3, and do 1 again. I mean, technically you can just do 2 and 3, but doesn't matter. The fastest way is just to open 2 and 3 and leave 1 alone, but whatever. Rule number 2, keep the lights on. Oh my, look at you. Can Pyramid. Let's go see what Mott, who we just saw get killed, has to say about this. Okay, and where is this one? Can Pyramid, page 194. Alright, so we're at 10 out of 12. We only got a couple more. Got as close as I could without triggering Weaver's alarm. So Weaver has his whole place rigged. Cool. Sitting on the concrete perimeter wall near the kill switch, Mr. H wants a calling card no matter where the writer goes, and I get to drink some of the beer. Yeah, that's great for you, buddy. Great for you. Ka-ching and ka-ching. When do we get lore? I mean, it's not really lore, Ichiro. Like, the canned pyramids are probably the weakest one of the things we get in the survival guide. But
who designs these things?
If we're gonna look at everything, we're gonna look at everything. I mean, there's a little bit where he starts referring to the Dark Presence as the Dark Mistress, and we learn that Mott has been getting visions of her increasingly leading up to the events of this game.
Weaver's water pipe passage should now be good to go.
No, Zoe. She was just cleaning herself, but then putting her paws on the keyboard that I'm using for the stream, and I don't want her to break things. So I did switch up my shortcut key for the mute. It is now Control M and not just M by itself. Alright. So I am going to say screw you guys. Rather than deal with fighting them and wasting ammo, I'm just going to open the gate, head through, and go right on in.
This way, young man. Follow me. Come. The pipe's empty now. We're ready to go. This way. We need to go. I knew them both, Tom and Barbara. I had such a crush on him. Such a beautiful man.
I already got that one vest.
I was jealous. There was a part of me that was maybe a little glad when she had the accident. And then Tom started writing and woke the darkness up. He tried to bring her back, but you can't do that. There are no free rides like that.
I'm starting to realize that.
In that case, young man, perhaps you're a smarter man than Tom was. The witch looked like her, but it wasn't. Barbara was sweet. He didn't understand until it was too late. He tried to undo it, wrote himself, her, everything he'd ever written out of the world. Oh, he was so famous. And afterward, no one knew. Oh, Tom. He left only one thing behind in my game, in case it happened again. Insurance. He trusted me, or perhaps used me a little. Tom knew how I felt, knew I wouldn't refuse him. I built the well-lit room and put it there. It's been waiting for you. We are characters trapped in a story you have written, and none of us will survive to see the end of it if the darkness isn't stopped. She'll twist the story to her own dark ends.
How do you know all this?
Tom, that's the way he wrote it. He still talks to me, you know, in television, from beyond, from below. We have both been touched by the darkness, young man. He saved us both with light, but the darkness stays with you. Use a stay. This pipe will take us directly to the well-lit room.
Okay, I need to call my friends, tell them where we're going.
Hello? Al!
Barry, we're headed to the dam in one of the pipes. Meet us there.
Okay, I'll tell Sarah.
It's Sarah now?
Whoa! No! For the sweet love of...
Barry! Barry! We gotta go see if they're okay.
They're probably dead. You must reach the well-lit room. This is no time to be a selfish idiot.
That's my best friend.
Well, be a fool. I'll use the pipe. I'll meet you at the dam if you make it.
At least I didn't have to worry about her. She knew how to stay safe.
So I actually do like their conceptualization there, her comment of don't be a selfish idiot, because from our perspective, Alan is doing the opposite of being selfish. He's being selfless by trying to go rescue Barry and Sarah. But from Cynthia's perspective, he is sacrificing the entire world for the purposes of his own need to keep his best friend alive. And she considers that to be selfish. So it really comes down to the differences between Cynthia and Alan's perspective of the stakes right now. She's looking at the big picture and he's looking at the microcosm. So it really depends on how you look at it. Now, I know everyone's going to have a field day with this one. But in the novelization, and again, the novel is not canon, but I do want to bring it up because I'm going to bring up everything. Cynthia acknowledges that in her head, because both Alan and Tom are writers, that Alan looks similar to Tom. At least that's in the novelization, which we cannot take as canon. But as an acknowledgement, and she presumes the reason she thinks that is because they're both writers. And the survival guide does refer to this location that we're walking on, the Bright Falls Dam hiking trail. Which I think it weird that they have a hiking trail for regular citizens right along a military base. But who knows? So we're going to do a quick pause here, and we're going to get back to the Alan Wake files to read some more oddities. And this is going to be Lights in the Sky. Zoe, I can't see. I can't see. Yeah, I know you want to... You don't need to groom me right now. My hand is my hand. Nope. That's my hand, not yours. Okay, Zoe, I'm gonna need you to shift right now. I apologize. Come on. Come on. I mean, if you just sat on my lap, we wouldn't be having this little exercise. Okay. Alright, lights in the sky. Paranormal activities and other strange events have not been limited to creature sightings. In 1901, before the invention of the airplane and before the widespread introduction of electricity to Bright Falls, residents reported a series of incidents involving hovering lights just above the trees. The sightings occurred on 4 separate nights through the summer of that year, with each incident reported by multiple people. Alright, so I was looking at this a little bit. Weirdly enough, last night, I was talking to my dad, who is he's big on ufology, and I was asking him about any possible UFO sightings back at this point in time in Washington history, and he is pretty much confirms what I already thought. Realistically, it wasn't until like the 1930s, 1940s when this kind of thing became more widespread in the cultural consciousness of the U.S. So most likely, the lights they saw in the sky were not to be interpreted as UFOs solely because the idea was not really in the public consciousness to the point where they would start using, the lake would start responding to the urban legends and folktales. So most likely the lights were other things. Now, it could be something similar to like ghost lights, will-o-wisps, things of that nature, which would have been, but those were more prominent in the south and over things like bogs and marshes. Or it could be an example of the bright presence expressing itself. The bright presence having a rave, yeah, exactly. Which is the case. Now, this throws a caveat into that, the very next paragraph. One resident, Tobias Crane, created an oil painting of the scene decades later from his childhood memories. The painting, called Floating Lights Over Cauldron Lake, now resides in the private collection of Dr. Emil Hartmann. It depicts children by the shores of the lake pointing skyward, while strange lights illuminate the water's surface. Dr. Hartmann's collection, while not on public display, is reputed to be one of the largest gatherings of art depicting bizarre, unnatural phenomenon. I mean, nowadays we don't say UFO, we say UAEs, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so I'm curious, did the events of these lights happen in 1901 organically and then Tobias Crane painted something about it, or did Tobias paint this Floating Lights Over Cauldron Lake? Dr. Hartmann took it to the lodge, and then due to its proximity to the Cauldron Lake, caused the lights to occur in the first place back in 1901. Wait, I say UAP. Sorry, I think it's UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, or something like that. So it's P, not A. Sorry. E. Ignore me. I missed it. I think it's UAP, something like that. Regardless. What do you guys think? I'm just curious about your impression upon this, because literally what would happen if a painter decided to draw something of the lake with floating lights over it and then put it next to the lake, that would cause floating lights to appear over the lake. Just makes sense to me. So it would... We do see instances where art that happens today affects things that happened 10 years ago. Or things that happened 10 years in the future. So my personal interpretation of this is that Crane painted this from a half-remembered memory, and then it caused it in the first place. Now, we do see something similar to that happening in the ending of the Alan Wake Files that Clay Stewart wrote. Like, we'll talk about that once we get to that phase, but there's an implication that because Clay came here and did this investigation, it caused him to have the dreams before the game started, where he was having shared dream states with Alan. So it's kind of just a never-ending circle. Anyways, moving on. It is unknown whether these strange lights are related to the more recent rumors of illuminated messages found in the nooks and crannies around Bright Falls. So now they're talking about the painting that Cynthia's been doing. None have ever been photographed, but multiple reports from disparate sources certainly point to a trend. Local law enforcement seems less enthusiastic about these reports. We've never caught anyone at it, said the same anonymous source. But you can bet that if we do, we'll get these kids a little talking to. Give these kids a little talking to. We've got our eye out for any kind of mischief. A survey of local teens produced blanket denials of vandalism along with several shaky reports of sightings. There were messages, said one young woman. I haven't seen them myself, but my boyfriend's cousin did, and so has one of my sister's friends. All different messages too, strange things like walk in the light, and these odd symbols and arrows, stuff like that. Despite the lack of photographic evidence, a few artist rendering of the strange messages have been recreated with the assistance of the alleged witnesses. A common thread that gives this story some credibility is that all witnesses have described the symbol of a torch alongside the bizarre messages. Again, that's going to be Bright Falls Power Company. So, the Thermos guy actually mentions that they received stories of these writings, but they couldn't find it. They even tested the areas where people claimed there were these yellow paints, and they couldn't find any evidence they existed in the first place. And Cynthia does mention that the only people who can see it are those who were affected by darkness or taken by darkness and saved by light, which implies some people in this town have already had these kinds of experiences, and they survived, and we don't know what their stories are. It just opens up the possibilities of a lot of other weird shenanigans going on. Anyways, let's get back over. And the reason I mentioned that is because I'm pretty sure we're about to walk into a bright present situation anyways.
Sarah was almost starting to relax. Maybe they could turn this into a win yet. Suddenly, there was a piercing sound, like a table saw gone wild, as 100 birds made out of shadows swarmed into the rotor. The chopper bucked wildly and the board lit up, telling her what she already knew. They were going down. Barry Wheeler screamed next to her.
You seem to remember Homestead family attacked by aliens in Western times. Well, like, again, these, like, there are stories of these kind of aerial sightings from the UFO or UAP stuff going back to, like, the times of Alexander the Great. So, like, it's nothing new. It's just, it's a lot more prominent in the cultural consciousness, one, because of radio, television, film, and things of that nature. Whereas back in the day, everyone was separated, so it didn't get spread as much. Yeah, man. Come over here, birdies. Come on. Stay away, get in the light. Okay, we're good. But remember, it's not just recently that these sightings of the yellow paint have occurred. It's been going on for a long period of time. We don't know when Conrad put this history book together, but it was not after Alan arrived in town. It's been around for a while. Most likely it's related to some of the things that the Torchbearers responded to. Are you gonna come? Guess not. Alright, so while we're here, let's head down this and get attacked by more birds. Hopefully not get knocked off.
Children of the Elder God lyrics by Old Gods of Asgard. The second verse and chorus. Scratching hag, you can rake your claws and gnash your crooked teeth. You've taken slaves like ocean waves, now feel the ocean seethe. Father Tor bless the war between the dark and light. In their songs, let their wrongs bring disillusion's night. O memory and thought, jet black and clawed, children of the Elder God, scourge of light upon the dark.
And again, this one's just referring to the Dark Presence, Barbara Jagger, Baba Yaga, Scratching Hag, references to the Taken. Right here, there's Thor blessing the night, which is when he cast lightning down to the dragon, and that dragon activated with the entire stage activated from that lightning strike, which one saved Barry and allowed us to survive throughout the whole thing. And yeah, easy enough to interpret. It's very on the nose. Oh, and according to the survival guide, the reason there's so many ravens in this area is that this is actually a nesting ground for the Pacific Northwest raven. This entire part of the trail. So that's why there's so many. If the lyrics of the part of the manuscript means that Alan writes part of the songs. No, these songs have been around before Alan was born. And most likely they were written under the influence of their own moonshine, which gives them seer abilities. Honestly, the more time I spend going over the Remedyverse, specifically anything related to Alan Wake, the less I'm convinced that everything was caused by Alan. It's like it becomes more and more apparent that is not the case at all. It's very easy to say that he's responsible for literally everything, and no. Okay, you guys saying the ravens are louder than me now? Okay, so let me turn my microphone up and the game down a hair. Maybe don't talk while the ravens are attacking. I mean, that's fine. So in case everyone didn't hear what I was basically, because the ravens were being too loud, what I was basically saying is the more I spend time researching this stuff, the less convinced I am that Alan is responsible for everything. And that a lot of the power they have here is witnessing events out of linear time sequence and then documenting them, which gives the impression of...
But as far as I could tell, the wreck was empty.
It makes it seem like, oh, they're causing this because they wrote it. Like, no, they saw it, and then they wrote it. And that's when we get into the conversation about adaptations.
Barry! Barry!
And that brings us all the way back to my opinion on Alex Casey and Max Payne, where both Emerson and Alan witnessed the real-life Alex Casey and then adapted it into two separate stories, which is why they're so similar but also a little bit different. The Cassandra effect. Fair. Alright, I'll let you guys use your ammo for this one. I'm going to conserve a little bit. Come on, guys. Are you going to fire? Okay, that was just me being cocky there. The books are echoes from the real-life Alex. Exactly, Mom.
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I have a different ending in mind.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
I knew you'd be all right.
How's that?
The flaming eye of Mordor?
Laugh it up, funny man. Didn't we have somewhere to go?
Weaver will meet us at the dam.
The reason why I make that comment is because it's cleaner of a story to just say it's an adaptation that was witnessed through the Dark Place, rather than the reality is constantly changing every second of every day. It just makes it a lot muddier. And there's also aspects of Alan Wake 2 where he flat out says he witnessed it through his dream and then wrote about it. So it directly states this, but it's also cleaner storytelling. Okay, let's take a look here. Alright, so hidden cache is located on page 197. English novelist William Makepeace Thackeray once wrote, "An evil person is like a dirty window. They never let the light shine through. Time to clean some windows. You'll find the necessary supplies in the rocky alcove above and behind the shack on the trail to the dam elevator." So, it also works more cleanly from the perspective of the ideas the game explores. Yeah. Well, okay, here's a little thing. I don't think it's in any way relevant to the context of the game itself, or okay, I take that back. It's not relevant to what's going on in the game in canon, in lore, but there's a ancient piece of literature, or type of literature, called Naru literature. And essentially what happened in it is people, or the authors of the time, or the poets of the time, would take real-world events, like things that were happening day to day, and then they would create a fantasy story revolving around those events. And it's implied that a lot of what we consider mythology, or like the mythological stories of people who lived in these times, it was Naru literature, where they would start making fantastical things where, oh, this king was communicating with this god, or was this child of this god, or had to do with the supernatural things, and things of that nature. So a lot of what we consider history of the time, or folklore of thousands of years ago, was not, at that point in time in history, considered to be an actual history book. They were writing it, understanding they were making fantastical claims about what's going on. Yeah, it's like real-life fan fiction. So they wrote a fan fiction that followed the actual history, but embellished several things to make it seem more supernatural and fantastical. And that's Naru literature. And you could make the argument that a lot of what Alan is doing, specifically with Alex Casey, is an unintentional form of Naru literature, where he took the real-life events of Casey and then embellished upon it and made changes and altered things enough that it followed the story, but made it very wild and out there.
When you spend most of your night running uphill while a crazy bunch of demon hicks try to take your head off with an axe, you know your helicopter crash landed in Night Springs.
I've never looked at Fate Stay Night, Kielbasa, so I could not comment on that.
I should have kept that gym membership.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking to make sure there's nothing on this path I gotta worry about.
That's the elevator we need to take.
I would love to wander around these hiking trails. I do enjoy getting out into the woods and hiking. It's just most of the time the people I go with can't really make the climbs.
What the hell is that thing? It's everywhere! Oh crap! It's one of them!
Nothing moves like that. It's impossible.
So it's either go by myself, and if you go hiking by yourself in the type of trails that I go on, it's kind of dangerous, because if you have an accident, there's no one there that will know that you had an accident. So you kind of have to go with a partner just in case.
Oh, there! Ow, they're all over the place!
How many of them are there? Where'd that one go?
Just two.
Ah, this can't be happening!
I can't see you. Is it just me, or is the AI for the speedsters a lot crazier right now? Because I've never had them run around this much. Oh my lord, you got 3 strikes in, you dick. But it never takes me this much time to get them down.
Was that it? Are we safe?
That was... wow. I think we're okay.
Hey, Al, I got a bad feeling.
Let's keep our eyes open.
Okay, this may be me being overly critical, but I feel like the voice direction for Sarah's character, or Sarah's roles, are the weakest in the game. Because she has scenes where she hits, but there are also random lines where it just doesn't feel like it matches what's happening in the scene, which is usually an issue with the voice direction. And she's the worst offender in the game, in my opinion. I just want to comment on that.
Oh man, but Al, we're safe in the light.
Wait, call the elevator.
Hold on. Coffee thermos. Coffee thermos. Alright, coffee lord, let's do this. Okay, this is going to be on page 198. Which is on the next page, okay. Alrighty. The cargo elevator from the damn trail looked like it had been pounded by blunt instruments. Found dents in the lower door, but not the upper one. The marks looked fresh. Someone left a thermos in one of the giant concrete tubes. Took another rest as I almost blacked out over breakfast, getting an antsy feeling of impending doom. More red flags.
Heads up! Here they come!
Why are you waving at me, bro?
Oh no! They're coming! We have to hold them off!
We are gonna hold them off. Because I have all the flares and all of the flashbangs.
Oh no!
There we go. Missed him.
I swear this is the slowest elevator in the world.
You guys have no chance with me. Let's be real.
It's almost here, wait. Just hold on.
Kaboom. Alright, let's get inside. And please do not do the soft lock here where the characters bug out. We're good.
We're almost there. There's an entrance into the dam at the top. What's the plan, Wade?
Well, Weaver's crazy, but she's got something Zane left behind. Something to fix this.
Gee, could you be a little more vague?
Thomas Zane? Seriously? Might as well be Paul Bunyan or Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, he was real.
Actually, Raifu, that is a very perfect example using modern time.
Let's be careful, okay?
Modern day literature. So the comment is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is 100% Naru literature. I mean, that's basically it, where you just create these random, chaotic, obviously not true fan fictions about a historical figure, but then you bury it in the sand for 2,000 years and someone uncovers it and they think, oh, this is a history book. This is what they were talking about. No. We were just fucking around. And who knows how much of history is understood through that lens by accident. Yeah, her comments mean that Zane is an urban legend, so they know of him. Yes. So Ichiro, it's not that she knows Zane existed, it's an urban legend. Do-do-do. More thermoses. Close call today. Went over to pick up the thermos on the edge of the damn cliff, and my legs almost gave way. One more step forward, and I'd be writing this from the afterlife. A spirit called back from purgatory to provide help and support to an omnipresent being. But I caught myself and then took a deep breath. Still here. A spirit called back from purgatory to provide help and support to an omnipresent being. That is very weirdly specific, I agree, Vest. Okay. And who knows how many of these urban legends, like local urban legends and folktales, are an example of the Mandela effect in this specific region. And that's the reason why, I swear to God, the FBC needs a Mandela effect office to study reality shifts. Because that's essentially what a Mandela effect is it's a reality shift.
Okay, Wake.
In this context.
Over there that opens the door.
This facility has been decommissioned and is not staffed. Entry into the dam structure without authorization is a criminal offense and may be prosecuted under local and federal statutes. Sorry, Sarah, you're the sheriff. I'm not legally allowed to enter you in there, or else you're going to have to arrest me. So, game over, guys. Bad ending. Let's get out of here. Not.
I think something's broken. Hold the button down so we can get in.
The nostalgia department and the Mandela effect. Actually, that would be interesting. When we play Control, let's keep an eye out for that kind of stuff.
Ow, what's going on? We can get to the dam through here. What's happening out there?
You guys go ahead and find Weaver. She should be in the dam now. I'll have to make it alone through the top.
Okay, wait. Good luck. Don't get yourself killed.
Ow! Please, be careful.
I'll take good care of Barry, Wake. You just look after yourself.
Thank you. I don't want to deal with that right now. Oh yes, it's also confirmed, Marama, in American Nightmare, that those who are directly involved in the reality alteration are aware of the changes. Ow. Ow. Like, I don't think this is an exact comparison, but it's kind of like in Chrono Trigger, where they have a phenomenon called Time Traveler's Immunity, where everybody is bound by the effects and alterations to time except the individuals physically traveling through time, and at that point they cease to be bound by it and therefore are immune to the changes. It's similar, but not exact.
Thomas Zane knew he had to remove all that had made this horror possible, including himself. That was the only way to banish the dark presence he had unleashed and now looked at him through the eyes of his dead love. But he also knew that despite his best efforts, it might someday return. So even as he wrote himself and his work out of existence, he added a loophole as insurance, an exception to the rule. Anything of his stored in a shoebox would remain.
So here's a little thing. Well, it's not a contradiction, Wimby, because in Alan Wake 2, it's not a contradiction saying that Saga is immune while everyone else is affected, because it's not that you are involved in the story, it's that you are directly involved in the... Like, you're directly touched by the powers of reality alteration. So if you're the author, yes, you're aware of the differences. And there is going to be some other exceptions there as well. But no, it makes perfect sense that everyone... Let's use the example I just used for Chrono Trigger. Saga, in this example, would have Time Traveler's immunity, while everyone else does not. Granted, the reason she does is up for debate, but... yeah, shifters are definitely ones that probably would be immune innately. But that isn't the case with Tim Breaker, because he is still bound by the story. And we know that Tim is a shifter version of Jack Joyce, but besides the point. Now, here's a question specifically with this manuscript that I wanted to run past you guys, is I know there's a lot of second guessing when we get to the sequel about, oh, well, he wrote himself out of existence. That never actually happened because XYZ, and what we learn in that game contradicts what's going on here. That's not how this works. A work of fiction thrown into the lake will make that reality. It's not like this page can just be wrong. oh, well, we have context of forethought, or not forethought, but afterthought, as soon as we get the sequel, and that invalidates what's happening here. No, this is real. The Dark Place can't just create, like, be wrong. What it says is what it says, and that's reality, period. Now, you can have a reality shift that says that this is no longer the case, but in this moment, this is what's going on. Period. And that's why when it comes to tracking the history in the Remedyverse, you have to understand where each individual reality shift occurs. Because yes, things will change each time that happens, but that does not invalidate what came before. These guys out quick. We'll talk more about that function when we get to American Nightmare, because honestly, American Nightmare is amazing at setting the rules of how the Dark Place works. It's incredible with how it handles things. And it really clarifies the rest of the cosmology and the universe and the physics of it. Alright, let's take a quick pause, because we need to switch over to the Alan Wake files, and we are going to read some more oddities. Okay. Alan Wake files, Veritas Couple, The Curious Case of Mr. August. The most recent and well-documented oddity to have occurred in Bright Falls was the case of Clark August III, a music industry entrepreneur made even more famous by the documentary film The August Year by legendary German filmmaker Klaus Sankt, which means Saint Claus. Do with that what you will. Footage of August early in the film revealed an almost comical portrait of an eccentric man in a dirty business suit playing a game of survival in the forest outside of Bright Falls. Surely people thought this would be a short-lived experiment, but as winter drew near, it became apparent that what had appeared to be comedy was in fact a deadly, earnest matter. People in Bright Falls today still argue over which part was most extraordinary, the fact that August miraculously survived the winter in near-perfect health, or the fact that he disappeared shortly afterwards. All sorts of theories have accompanied his disappearance, some of them coupled with theories of this initial survival. Was there a bargain that helped him through the winter, only to have payment exacted in the spring? Alien abduction of the dark spiritual forces have also been raised as possibilities. The unexplained howling sounds in the noontime eclipse. Fog and the forest micro-tornadoes that appeared early in that season have all served to fuel the rumors of an unnatural ending to August's life. Sheriff Sarah Breaker was flummoxed by this forensic anomaly. "This is not like any missing persons case I've ever seen," she said. "If he froze, if he got killed by wild animals, if he drowned, there would be physical evidence. There's nothing." Even Sankt, who had researched the details of the case more than anyone, is at a loss. "It's such an unexpected twist," he was quoted as saying. "You think you're at the end of a strange story, and then it has this incredible denouement that throws everybody. We don't even have answers to the main part of the story, which is what happened that winter, and now we may never know what followed. It's difficult to get an explanation for someone who has vanished off the face of the earth." I wonder if Klaus Sankt had something to do with the disappearance or the whole situation. And to respond real quick to chat, it's very likely that Saga's immunity to the story is not something that's inherent. It's because, in return, Alan wrote that she was immune. Because let's be real, she had to be. If she was convinced, if she was her memory was altered like everybody else, then the story would not have proceeded. The entire drama of the plot is that she's fighting to save her daughter's life, while the rest of the world is trying to gaslight her about the whole thing. If she believed she was dead, then there'd be no driving force for the character, and therefore nothing to drag her on. Her difference in memory is the ritual leading her on, just as much as what happened in Initiation was Alan's. So it's very likely that's just how the story goes. And before the story was written, she didn't have that ability. Again, no way to know. Or you can make the argument that because she is the protagonist and therefore directly affected by the story, that's why she's actually immune. And the story just made the backstory, oh, it's because you're Anderson, which that's not really an answer. That's a cop-out, frankly. At least that's my opinion about it. Alright, let's head back in. Yeah, it's plot armor, but they give an explanation in the story why there's plot armor, but we have to separate the plot of Return from the plot of the game, if that makes sense. In the plot of the entire RC universe, it works this way. In the plot of Return, it works because of this reason. But ultimately, it's all the same thing. Yeah, and Dor was pissed that Alan forced her to be there, which is true. Well-lit room. Okay, before we climb up here, there's a cool little detail in the survival guide that claims that the searchlights that we're about to use for this next fight were there by the military solely to look... It says claims the searchlights are either for military purposes or UFO watchers decided to set them up or make use of what was here for the fun of it. Why can't you just make some? And we're operating on on what Alan says is what happens. Well, yeah, we have to operate on what Alan says is what happens because if he wrote the story, that's what's being made true. The story won't contradict the story that was written. It has to go word for word.
Fishing can be a hobby or a job.
I was ridiculously outnumbered. The searchlight could even the odds.
Shit. Okay, come on. I need to at least get that one. Crap. Damn it. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I'm getting a shit rocked right here. Alright, I think we're good.
Enough. You will go no further.
Yeah, we'll talk more about this topic in Alan Wake, or American Nightmare. Because American Nightmare really settles how this all functions. But essentially, it's stated that he foresees what's going to happen in the future and then tweaks a few random details to force the outcome he wants. But he does not do any creatio ex nihilo where he just fabricates things from nothing. Okay, hold on. We actually are going to pause right here and switch over to Night Springs. Comic book time, guys. Let's do this. Sorry, it's very anticlimactic, but let's switch over real fast. Frank knew Cynthia Weaver reasonably well. They weren't quite friends. She didn't really seem to have any, but they got along, although it wasn't easy. She was paranoid and obsessive and obviously delusional. But he knew she wasn't stupid, and neither was his daughter. If Sarah was going to her, it was for a good reason. Sarah had Wake in custody, but Frank knew she didn't think he was a bad guy. He trusted her judgment. Still, Frank was sure the man was intimately involved with all of this. Wake was a writer. There was a precedent. So again, Frank is aware of Ryder's effect here. And I think there's like 3 different authors, not just Zane, but also the Colonel, and I think one more that was involved. So he likely had direct knowledge of this stuff. Frank wasn't quite clear on what happened with the poet. Okay, so he's referring to Zane. Zane in 1970, but he remembered the earthquake. Well, at least the bridge worked. Wait, hold on. Okay, so Frank is also aware of Zane existing back in 1970. Not as an urban legend, but an actual man. But at least the bridge works, sort of. And this is where Alan just passed through. So Frank is literally following behind us as we go. Calling Sarah. And there's a Taken behind him. Daddy? Hey, honey, where are you? Crunch. Motherfucker. A tree under tension has tremendous energy. Question is, which Zane? Poet Zane. Because at this point in time, there is no other Zane. It's only Poet Zane. Remember, the reality shift that created the other Zane hasn't happened yet, so as of right now, we're only talking about one. First, we fell. Then we declimb. Splinters, Ken. Goddamn freak. Go to hell. Away from me. What the... So it's going to be like that? Well, I guess that's where they are. And this is likely the flare we saw a little bit earlier. Creek. Come on, you rusty piece of shit. Turn already. And he's fighting his way through there. He passes through the exact same area in the electrical yard that Alan did. Now, what's that supposed to mean? Driving me nuts. Passes through here. He enters in. This is where Cynthia was, and we walked through. So he enters Cynthia's house room after us. Sarah, are you here? Cynthia, anybody. So he knows Cynthia lives here. Oh, hell. Cynthia had bragged about her secret tunnel to the dam. It didn't take a genius to figure out where they'd gone. Figure the least nutty broad can do is let me steal one of her trucks. So he immediately leaves. Again, this is all happening in tandem as we speak. Jumps into one of the trucks, drives it. Seeing the helicopter in flames was like a punch to the gut. He witnessed the same wreckage we just saw. If she made it out of here, she was okay. If she was still in the helicopter, she was dead. There's nothing he can do about it. He felt a surge of blind, merciless rage he hadn't known in years. So he had anger issues back in the day. Most likely, it depends on what type of rage. Tempered rage or fury, which is untempered. Anyways, there was something almost sublime in the realization that he couldn't possibly cope with the death of his daughter. Suddenly the world was uncomplicated. She would be alright, or he would bring hell. And randomly a car right in front of him, which is a big rig. He veers off. Holy shit. Crashes. Bam. Wait, what? Stay away. This is between... Oh, sorry. This is the... Barbara literally gets up right up next to him. Stay away. This is between me and the writer. Ah! What the hell are you? This doesn't concern you. The hell it doesn't, my daughter. If she protects Wake, she will die. Yeah, the Dark Presence probably has direct experience with Frank Breaker in the past. Like, no joke, it wouldn't surprise me if they've crossed paths before. He pulls up a flare. You first, bitch. You gotta add that at the end there. It makes it better. Ugh. Some people don't eat red meat. Stretching is very important. It's like that, huh? Blam! And he just goes crazy like the action hero Frank is. Blam. He takes a swipe to the shoulder from one of the Taken. Looks like he shoots one in the dick. Son of a bitch. Blam. And then we're going to stop here because this is right as Alan gets into the well-lit room. So we're going to stop on the slide. Frank's on his knees. The flare runs out. And one Taken is right behind with an axe swinging right at his head. Cliffhanger. And let's run some more. Wait. Thermos. Okay, another cliffhanger. Let's pause and go read some Thermos lore. And this will be on page 201. We're getting pretty far in. One of the dam buttress fortifications that hadn't been damaged in the freak storm, Hartman was predicting had a thermos on a shelf close to the walkway. What the hell happened here? The walkway is completely ruined. Oh yeah, quite a note that Cooper texted me. 10 more stops, and you're out. Great news. And we're on number 89. So there's 11 thermoses left. But 10 more stops, and you're off. It keeps getting worse.
The noise. We're safe here. I have looked after the well-lit room for many, many years now. There is no shadow in the well-lit room. The power is fail-safe, and all the bulbs are numbered and changed regularly based on their make and model.
Right.
And we saw her system for doing just that a little bit earlier.
There's an old army base at Raincoat Point, north of here. It was active during the Second World War. They operated here back then. They must have built this.
Yeah, and that's the base that we witnessed during the initial nightmare sequence. We did come across that army base.
Yes, they did. It's my place now.
I want to explore this entire army base. Like, I'm not even kidding. I wish we could explore this. Because here's the deal. I know the plot of the game makes the statement that, hey, this was here, this was during World War II era, so they were keeping eyes on the Pacific Ocean, specifically to keep an eye on Japan and anything that may be coming across from that neck of the woods. But it was operating at least far after World War II ended. It could have been kept there for Cold War reasons, because, again, Russia crossed that ocean as well. But I'm curious if there was any research being done here by the military, because, again, Bright Falls, Cauldron Lake. There's a whole unused bunker asset in the files of the game, by the way. Nice, Darkanoid, thank you for that.
Take it, and I won't need to worry about the room anymore, because 6 and 33 and 118 need changing soon, and I don't want to climb up the ladder to change them because it's very late, and I'm tired. And if you take it, I won't have to do that anymore.
The page was autobiographical, a memory from my childhood. But I didn't write this. It was a page written by Thomas Zane. None of them were supposed to exist anymore.
Alan, 7 years old, would fight sleep to the bitter end. When he did sleep, he soon woke up, screaming, the nightmares fresh in his mind. One evening, his mother, sitting by his bed, offered him an old light switch. She called it the clicker, and flicking the switch would turn on a magical light that would drive the beast away. To imbue the talisman with all possible power, she added that it had been given to her by Alan's father. Alan never knew him, and anything of his took on mythical proportions in his mind. With the clicker firmly in his hand, Alan finally slept like a baby. Now, almost 30 years later, Alan thought of this as he stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, the clicker in his hand. He took a deep breath and jumped.
My mind swirled. I'd given the clicker to Alice, yet it was here. Zane had written it into existence in a story I had written. I can get to her now. I can finish this.
Remember standing on a broken field. Sorry. Beating the sky. Alrighties. So, my personal opinion is that Tom the Poet Zane, did not write that. And there's a lot of evidence to support that he did not write that. Karaoke stream went. Oh gosh. Please don't make me do karaoke. Please don't make me do karaoke. Okay, real quick, how's my voicing compared to the music? Because I want to go through a lot of the details on this before we end off. But I want to make sure you guys can hear me properly. So just let me know. It's good? Okay. I'm going to take my headphones off real quick. Okay, so one, Alan just in the page confirms, hey, this is written by him in a story that I had already written. So it's Alan wrote that, Zane wrote it, or the poet wrote it. But there's also the little thing called prose. Now, we do see a lot of Thomas Zane's prose in the House of Dreams blog. And his prose in no way matches what was on that page. That was written as a novel, not as a piece of poetry. If the poet Zane was writing it, it wouldn't read like that in the slightest. That matches Alan's prose. So it did not talk like him whatsoever. Now, that being said, because Alan wrote that as a backstory, now retroactively that is the backstory, where let's just say that within the plot of Departure, Tom the Poet wrote this about Alan to tap a successor at some point in time in the future to take over and finish his work. And that could have been part of the secret poem. Because we'll talk about this more in the House of Dreams blog, but there was a secret poem that Zane wrote before he dove in. And we don't really learn what was all in that. We know that part of it had to do with creating a baby universe that the essence of him and Barbara went into and occupied. But we don't know the rest of the details, and it is possible that within that he tapped Alan and said, okay, you're going to be my successor, you're going to finish my work. But again, is that what really happened back in 1970? Or is that what happened in 2010 because of the reality shift that Alan caused by writing Departure? I go with the latter, because again, the prose does not match Zane's writing. Alan wrote that, but the problem is because he wrote that as a backstory, now reality is bound to that being the new canon. And that leaves opportunities for other artists down the line to say, well, you're not actually real, Alan, because you wrote this here that someone else put you on your path, therefore you're under their machinations, therefore I can take advantage of that little mistake in your writing and play a little fuck around, so to speak. So it's if he didn't put that in the backstory, it's possible the events of Alan Wake 2 would not have happened the way they did, but because he did, now the logical conclusion is let's take advantage of that fact. Again, this story really makes way more sense if you take into account reality shifts, when they happen, what specifically changed. But it's very obvious in this scene that that was written by Alan. The prose is identical, and in no way matches the writing style of a poet. But, anyways, I am going to go ahead and leave this off here, guys, and we'll follow up more on that topic later on. Are we talking about poems, the modern poetry, or something like the Odyssey? Regardless, we see exactly how Zane wrote, and we'll get to that when we get to that.
Previously...
And we'll pause right there. Because right now, most likely, we're going to be able to get through the rest of the main game next stream on Friday. Only because there's really not a lot going on, to be 100% honest. The final chapter is mostly just a long walk. And we'll get there when we get there. Oh, one last thing. I did mention this at the beginning. I forgot. Sorry. No one leave yet. No one leave yet. I have a note here about the survival guide that the author, David Hodgson, does have some details that he found in an old shoebox dealing with a Taken, and that it bore the initials of Thomas Zane. He received it from him, detailing enemy types, and it was addressed, the Zane letter was addressed to the reader, which is us, and claims that we are all touched by darkness, and therefore that's why we can read the writings. So again, I told you, Vest, you mentioned it at the very beginning, but I had it here. But this is when I was going to mention that. Anyways, guys, sorry, I gotta let you all go. You all have a good night, have a good day, and we will see you soon.